Hello all my Kinvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering DuckTales, the reboot! And today I'm going to be watching the Beagle Birthday Massacre, or as it was apparently renamed, the Beagle Birthday Breakout, which I don't know why they renamed it. I was actually told by a few people that this had happened, which was confusing to me. The first one that told me was one of the commenters, MixFlix. I'm sure you have seen his comments, or their comments down in the comments below, obviously. But yeah, I'm guessing maybe Disney just didn't care for the word massacre. I will say, while I do find the name change weird, I do enjoy the alliteration of the Beagle Birthday Breakout. So, yeah, I can appreciate that at the very least. Those of you who may not have ever heard of this band, though, there is a band called The Birthday Massacre, which may not be for everyone. They're from Canada. I would recommend looking them up and giving them a listen, if you want. Yeah. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this episode. So, let's get right into it and begin the Beagle Birthday Massacre / Breakout, whichever you prefer. I'm actually going to go with Breakout. Unless I forget. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Costumes!
I'm sorry, what?
What?
You know, in case we get lost at sea and one of us, probably Louie, goes mad with hunger, we'll put these on. Louie hates hot dogs, so he probably won't eat them.
Louie would rather eat us? Onward!
It's a very small boat for all four of them.
Pardon me.
Oh, well,
Come on, why aren't we too adventuring?
that explains it.
We never had to stick 4 people on this thing.
Shipwrecked freighter crew surrounded by dolphins? Aww. Who are terrorists?
The heck?
So I'm gonna need you to do
I'm curious about this,
thing
Lena.
up the wall, drop down, and open the door for me. Cool? Cool.
There's nothing sinister about her.
Wait.
Or at least there doesn't seem to be.
It's not an adventure if you're... You want to blow it up, don't you?
It's adorable! It's adorable! I'm now actually kind of worried that there is going to be something. Hello!
Costume party! Oh, this? You lot in this here warehouse.
Who are you?
Anime eyes.
We're the Beagle Birds. I'm, Angla...
She talks fancy. I trust her.
They are family. I mean, why would they lie?
Lena, no! These are the guys I was talking about! This is Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Everywhere. Okay, stop talking. It's like this establishmentarianism. Seriously? Seriously, Webby, where have you been? The Tumble Bums? They sound adorable.
Oh, they're the clowns. Oh god. Oh god.
I promise we'll never leave you off the boat again. We'll leave Louie. He's bad at most things.
Middle of the entire Beagle family? How is that any different than what you did at the junkyard? I wasn't tied up at the junkyard.
Now they have what we have.
Aww.
Now I remember why I...
Uh-oh. Ma's gonna be mad.
Where are the brats?
Summon spirit from the dark. Show thyself before this ark.
No.
My dread soul from its prison once more shall be arisen. And Magica, I'm in.
No! 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 Man! No! I'm sorry I keep messing with that. The mustache hairs are... Anyway. Man... Well, it was a good twist, at least. Because honestly, up until that point, zero indication that she could be evil. It was just one of those things where it's kind of like, oh, it's a new character that's kind of edgy. I wonder if they're going to be evil. But she had no evil indications throughout the entire episode. I'm so annoyed. Annoyed at the outcome. I mean, I'm sure that it's going to end up being something really cool, and, well, I mean, obviously, it's Magica Dispel. Aunt Magica. Frickin'... So, yeah, well, I now know how Magica Dispel is going to be brought into the whole thing. Well, not necessarily how, but the fact that she's been introduced. I will say this, I'm interested to see what Magica's voice is going to be like, because she had a very distinct voice back in the original series. So, yeah, interested to see that. But, Lena, no! I liked you! And you were cool! I'm sad. Okay. So, let's get into my thoughts on this episode and get that glare out of my glasses. So, I do feel like the name, the Beagle Birthday Breakout, actually is just overall more appropriate. I don't know if they were going for something in particular with the original name, the Birthday Breakout, or the Beagle Birthday Massacre. But yeah, it's, yeah, I feel like the renaming is actually more appropriate overall. Even though I knew they weren't going to actually massacre anyone, but in the end, it just works better. Plus, it has the alliteration, which alliteration is amazing. As is assonance. Anyway. So, yeah, the naming choice, the rename, I like it. Now, to get into the actual episode, the boys and the boat, and their introduction of Louie being Captain Lost. It was admittedly a very weird moment, the fact that they found the Captain Lost thing to be so overly enjoyable. But it did admittedly play nicely into this aspect of how the boys have their own inside jokes. They have history. However old they actually are they supposed to be like 10? Maybe a little bit older? They'll probably mention on the wiki, but, you know. I've been told to not delve too far into the wiki, so, you know, I probably shouldn't do that. So, any commenters, if you know the approximate ages of what the boys is supposed to be, let me know. So, yeah, the fact that they have history and then how that plays into Webby and her new friend, like, getting their own history, their own inside jokes. I loved how that all worked. And then also, when the boys reappeared, and it's like, the reason why it took them so long to get back and try to find Webby is the fact that they gave Louie the map again. And Louie brings up a really good point, which, it's like, okay, the other two put him in charge of the map. He could have said no. So, while, yes, Louie is correct in that that's on them, it's also on him, because he's the one that acknowledges, it's like, why would you give me the map again? Someone else take it. So, the boys were weird and hilarious this episode. But, to get away from them for a little bit, so, I like the fact that so much of this episode focused on Webby. Because I guess the only episode I can think of where maybe that happened in the original series would be, I think the characters end up going to the North Pole, and they befriend this huge semi-advanced colony of penguins. And it's not really like just a solo venture for Webby, obviously, but there was a lot of that episode that focused on her and the friendship she makes. And unfortunately, if I remember correctly, that's supposed to be one of the least liked episodes of the original series because so many people found Webby annoying. Which, I mean, again, I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't remember how annoying she might be, or even if I would find her annoying now, but, you know. But again, the fact that we did have an episode that focused on Webby, yes, the boys were there for some of it, but the majority of it was her and her new friend Lena, which, you know, still counts as a Webby-centric episode because Lena literally just got introduced. So yeah, leaving Webby alone, which while sad, was the way things progressed was really interestingly brought on by the bottles that were thrown, or that were cast out by Lena, and then Webby found them, obviously. Which, to jump forward just a little bit, if she was captured, how did she manage to get those bottles, or those notes written and put them in bottles and throw them out? I mean, I don't know. I feel like there could have been other ways for them to figure that out. Or even, like, they could have heard something about that being mentioned on the radio because they had the radio. So yeah, the notes being cast out was just kind of strange in that it doesn't seem feasible for Lena to have done that. But anyway, moving on from there. Lena in general, like the fact that Webby makes a friend who, up until what we learn at the end, seems like a legitimately cool, nice character. Now again, like I mentioned, when it comes to, like, whether it's a cartoon or a show, when you meet a character who's like edgy and it's like they're not part of the core, basically it's like, you know, they're introduced in an episode and there's anything remotely dark about them, which it's like, you know, there's the pink hair, she's edgy, she's a teenager. It would be really overly easy for the show to be like, oh, hey, this one's going to be evil and she's going to try and steer Webby to the dark side. But none of that happens. None of that happens. She just seems like a legitimately awesome character that Webby befriends. And it's like her and like she at first just finds Webby kind of weird. But then she seems to legitimately like her. And again, there's no sense of like sarcasm in anything she's saying. There's no sense of her not actually meaning what she says. Because even Webby herself is just like, was that sarcasm? Was that sarcasm? And, you know, for me, mentally, it's like I feel that way a lot of times with people because I have anxiety and I'm super insecure. But, yeah, just, again, it's what makes me sad that she's apparently evil. Because it's like she gives Webby just this cute little nickname, Pink, which obviously goes along with the bow. And that's another way in which, you know, they work together because Webby has the bow and Lena has the pink shade in her hair. And yeah, there was so many cool elements of that, of Lena being part of the group. And what she says to the boys when they make an appearance, which leads to one of the best segments in the show so far. But she says, "Oh yeah, I like the names and the, you know, matching colors or the color coordination. And you three are basically exactly the same." And then the boys proceed to say the exact same thing at the same time, including anti-establishmentarianism. It was a hilarious callback to the original show where, I mean, they were literally all, including Webby, voiced by the same person. Which, actually, one thing I will say, because as I'm recording this, I saw these posts go out on Facebook. Unfortunately, the woman who voiced the original Huey, Dewey and Louie and Webby Gale, and who was also, I believe, the original voice of Minnie Mouse, passed away recently. I think it was either today as I'm recording this, which is July 27th, or maybe like a day or so before. So yeah, that's kind of sad. But I mean, strangely appropriate that I'm watching this episode after that. But to move away from that, yeah, I just really like that whole segment of them doing this callback to basically, they're exactly the same. A little bit of self-referential humor there, again in regard to the original series and how this differentiates. This series is differentiating itself from the original and how those characters were. So I just really like that. And again, the fact that Lena kind of called it out. But the next thing I want to talk about is the Beagle Party in general and the different Beagle Boys gangs, which even Ma refers to as like there's the originals, which is the Beagle Boys. And I don't remember all the names, but there's the Meanies, the Friendlies, the Tumble Bums, which, dear God, they're made of nightmares. At least in that one segment in the park, that was super creepy. The losers, or the ugly losers. And I feel like there might have been one or two others. Oh, the Taquitos. The Taquitos. And again, there might have been one or two other groups, but those are the only ones I can really think of. But it's really interesting, and I'm curious whether or not they might bring on any of those other gangs ever again, or if that's sort of a one-time joke for the sake of this episode. And, in the future, we'll basically just get the regular Beagle Boys and Ma. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not they reintroduce them. But, I mean, just to talk about it again, the scene with the Tumblebums in the park, I mean, the animation there was perfect. Like, everything about it, the lighting, the way the characters moved, just like, the subtle music there, just it painted this course for this tiny little section of horror within this episode, and it works so well. Like, those Tumblebums were like, if I was a kid and watching this episode, I could find myself being legitimately creeped out, because again, as an adult, I felt the creepiness there. So yeah, I guess I don't fully know how a little kid would experience it. I mean, obviously, this show is meant for kids in general, so I don't think it would be too bad, especially since it's a short-lived scene. But yeah, again, it's just really creepy and really well done. So yeah, Tumblebum's best Beagle Boys. Worst Beagle Boys? Creepiest Beagle Boys. We'll go with that. And then obviously, I like the little establishment of what Webby and Lena have there, which is calling themselves the Beagle Birds, which again, going along with the little British thing that they did in order to get away from the ugly losers, which, God, they're dumb, as are all of the Beagle Boys, clearly. But yeah, it's this cute and adorable little connection that they have there. And I'm going to hope that Lena isn't truly like fully evil. And I don't know, maybe it's implied in the way that she was interacting with Webby. Because again, they didn't give any indication of her faking it or her pretending to like Webby. Like, it all seemed legitimate. And maybe that's on purpose. Maybe that's simply to be completely misleading and lead to the shocker that is the end of this episode. But I also remember Magica De Spell being just really ruthless and super evil. I mean, obviously. So I wonder if maybe Lena, again, isn't fully evil And maybe she's doing this because she does love her. No, wait, she already said that she doesn't care for family. It's like, family is a sore spot with her. Which I guess makes it even more confusing, the fact that, she's seems to be doing this, or she said, "I'm in" to her aunt. Maybe her aunt's the only one she likes. Maybe just like immediate family is the one she doesn't like. I don't know. But I want Webby to be happy. I like Webby. I like all of the characters on this show so far, even the ones that I've had, slight misgivings with, like, how Launchpad is just a bit too bumbling for my taste, but I have faith in this show. I mean, they've been doing really good overall. So it makes me sad that it's like, there's this character who I legitimately like and is part of what helps make Webbigail happy with this new life that she's leading outside of just being, kind of hidden in the mansion. So I'm going to hope that Lena is not fully evil. That maybe it's a manipulation thing. Maybe it's a magical spell thing, like Magica has done something to kind of brainwash Lena. I don't know. I just want Webby to be happy, and I like Lena, so I hope she's not evil. Fully evil. Yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. So everyone, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about this episode. It's... I guess if I have a quote of the episode, it's when Lena refers to the boys as being exactly like each other, followed by that entire section of the boys talking exactly like each other. Like, yeah, let's call that entire thing the quote of the episode, if you will. But yeah, I legitimately enjoyed this episode, and that twist at the end was truly shocking. Like, I mean, we had the little shocker there at the end of the first episode with Dewey finding their mom in that picture of Scrooge and Donald. But this was a full-on, just like, okay, we have this new character who's really cool, and that might be a lot of fun, and no, she's evil! So, yeah, just 5 stars, this episode. I absolutely loved it, to be completely, fully honest. So I'm interested in hearing your all's thoughts on this episode. Let me know your thoughts on the episode itself, whether you agree or disagree with anything I've had to say, or maybe even elaborate whether if there is something you agree with, but you feel like I didn't cover fully. But again, as always, let's try and keep it spoiler free because I've got a ways to go in this show. Speaking of which, I do know what the next episode is going to be because thankfully I have gotten a few comments from a few different people, and so again, I don't have to look at the wiki itself and potentially spoil myself. So the next episode, which is out of airing order, is going to be The House of the Lucky Gander. And I got no clue. I have no clue what it could be about. I mean, oh no, wait, it refers to, like, Goosey Gander. So, there's a goose introduced? That rhymed! So yeah, I have no idea. So, yeah. So the next time I will be watching The House of the Lucky Gander. And I am actually doing pretty good at recording these episodes and getting them available on Patreon. So if you are introduced in watching the next episode and even others that are yet to come before they get aired, if you go over to the Patreon, link in the description down below as well as at the end of this video, for as little as $1 a month you can get access to my videos anywhere from a few days to a week or so ahead of time before they go public on the YouTube channel. And there will be more shows that will be getting that treatment as well. I'm still working on getting, back into the motion of things with discovering Once Upon a Time. And yes, I know, I still haven't come out with any new Discovering Classic Doctor Who's yet. It's coming. It's just, depression and anxiety can get in the way of a lot of things. So, again, if you would like to see episodes like this and others ahead of time, again, for as little as $1 a month, you can do that. Link in the description down below, and again, at the end of this video. So, I will shut up now. Until next time, everyone, for the House of the Lucky Gander, I am Papa Ken, and I will see you on the next video.